everybody, and welcome to Includes podcast presented by Proximal Solutions. Before we go into our episode today, there is something that I really need to share with you guys, because if you don't know, you need to know. So if you have not heard about Anchor, guys, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. And I said it is the easiest way because number one, it is free. Yes, it is free. There are also creation tools that are going to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. It does not get any easier than that. But wait, there is more. Anchor is also going to distribute your podcast for you so that it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything really that you need to make a podcast, and it is all in one place. So do me a favor, go in, download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in into part 2 of the ICD-10-CM 2021 code changes. I am your host, Marlegny Mourino, and I'm so excited to be here with you today as I will be discussing the changes for chapters 12 to chapters 22. So follow me. So chapter 12 is our skin and subcutaneous tissue chapter. In ICD-10, our code range is L00 through L99. For this chapter, we had no additions or deletions. We did have some minor revisions to code descriptions for two codes. Those codes were L57 and L98.4. So that's pretty much it for chapter 12. Moving on to chapter 13. So this is our musculoskeletal and connective tissue chapter. Our code range for this chapter is M00 through M99. I always tell my students M for muscle, so musculoskeletal. For chapter 13, we had no guideline changes. We did have 57 new codes, or we do have 57 new codes, 3 deleted codes, and 0 revisions. Majority of the revisions that were added to chapter 13 were for other specified joint, other site, and this was in numerous joint disorders categories that we find in this chapter. We did have some tabular changes. So for example, for M00, pyogenic arthritis, we have an added excludes 2 notes for infection and inflammatory reaction due to internal joint prosthesis, code T84.5. Another tabular change was to M00.0 for staphylococcal arthritis and polyarthritis. Once again, the same addition of the excludes 2 note. M22, disorder of the patella. Change actually happened from an excludes 1 note to an excludes 2 note. For M22, internal derangement of knee, we had a change from an excludes 1 note to an excludes 2 notes. And then we also had additions of inclusion terms to codes M30.1 and M31.3. So that's it for chapter 13. Moving on to chapter 14, this is our genital urinary system. Our code range is N00 through N99. So we had no guidelines changes in this chapter, but we did have the following. We had 15 new codes, 15, 1 deleted code, and 0 revised codes. We had some added excludes 1 and inclusion terms to numerous codes in this chapter. We had an excludes 1 was added to reflect conditions related to C3, and I'm totally going to butcher this word, glomerulonephritis, to N00.8, N01.5, N02.5, N03.5, N04.5, N05.5, N06.5, and N07.5. For code N20.1, calculus of ureter, we have an added inclusion term to include uteropelvic junction. That word I can say with no problem, but I couldn't say the other one. For N18.3, this is our chronic kidney disease, stage 3 moderate. We have now an expansion to include a subcategory for an increased stage classification. So stages of CKD looks at the glomerular filtration rate. This is going to help your doctors to determine the stage and also plan the correct course of treatment for the patient. So a low number, it's going to indicate that the kidneys are not working how they're supposed to be working. So now for N18.3, we have N18.30 for chronic kidney disease stage 3. We have N18.31 chronic kidney disease stage 3A, and N18.32 for chronic kidney disease stage 3B. So now we have the added 3B and 3A, when before we only had just stage 3. Okay, so we have further classification for our subcategory for our stage. Moving on to chapter 15, this is pregnancy, childbirth, and the puerperium. This is our code range 000 to 09A, the letter A. We had 5 new codes, 1 deleted code, 0 revised codes. We did have some guideline changes for the following 2 guidelines. The first one is IC-15K. This is for puerperal sepsis. And the other guideline is IC-15S. This is for COVID-19 infection in pregnancy, childbirth, and the puerperium. So make sure to review those. For chapter 16, our perinatal period, we have our code range is P00 through P96. We have 4 new codes for this chapter, 0 deleted codes, and 0 revised codes. Okay. We also do have a new guideline, which is IC-16H. This is for COVID-19 infection in newborn. We also have our code P0089, which is newborn affected by other maternal conditions. We have a notation that use additional code was added to identify the infections agent. For code P91.0, neonatal cerebral ischemia, we have an excludes 1 note was added for the new neonatal cerebral infarction code. For chapter 17, this is our congenital malformations, deformations, and chromosomal abnormalities. Our code range for this is Q00 through Q99. For this chapter, we had 0 new codes, 1 deleted code, and 3 revised codes. So our cleft lip and cleft palate are code range Q35 to Q37. We have our excludes 1 note changed to an excludes 2. For Q5120, which is other doubling of uterus, unspecified, was deleted. The codes that were revised, the 3 codes, they were Q51.29 for other complete doubling of uterus, Q51.22 other partial doubling of uterus, Q51.28 other and unspecified doubling of uterus, other specified. So that's all we have for chapter 17. For chapter 18, our signs and symptoms and abnormal findings are R00 through R99. So guys, believe it or not, we had no guideline changes for chapter 18, so that's pretty good. But we do have 4 new codes 2 deleted codes, and 0 revised codes, okay? So, and then moving on now from chapter 18 to chapter 19. For chapter 19, which is our injury and poisoning, code range S00 through T88, we have a lot of changes. So we had 128 new codes. Yes, you heard me right. I said it. 128 new codes, 23 deleted codes, and 0 revised codes. All of our new codes for chapter 19 are affected by laterality, which, you know, is a 7 character. Laterality, right or left. Superficial injuries to the thorax categories were also expanded for codes for bilateral and middle. 22 codes plus the 7th character was added to 66 of those codes. Wow, a lot of changes there. Revisions and excludes notes. So we had a couple of revisions. So for code S06.3, focal traumatic brain injury, our excludes 1 changed to an excludes 2 notes. For S82, dislocation and sprain of joint and ligaments of the knee, our excludes 1 note changed to an excludes 2. Poisoning by adverse effects of an underdosing of drugs, medications and biological substances, code range T36 to T50, we now have an added excludes 2 for immunodeficiency due to drugs. And I probably didn't pronounce that word properly. Immunodeficiency, there we go, due to drugs. T79.7, traumatic subcutaneous emphysema, we have our excludes 1 note. For that code, changed to an excludes 2 note. Moving on to chapter 20, external causes of morbidity. We have no guideline changes for chapter 20. We have 125 new codes, 1 deleted code, 1 revised code. The majority related to pedestrian on mobility devices. We have for W89, which is exposure to man-made visible and ultraviolet light, our excludes 1 changed to an excludes 2. For W90, exposure to other non-ionizing radiation, excludes 1 changed to an excludes 2. For our chapter 21, factors influencing health status, so our Z codes, Z00 through Z99. For this chapter, guys, we had 3 new codes, 0 deleted codes, and 39 revised codes. And now, moving on to our next chapter. Yes, chapter 22. Chapter 22, guys, new chapter. So codes for special purposes. Our code range for this chapter is U00 through U85. So this is a new category now in 2020. It is located at the end of the code sections. This new category, guys, do you know that became a chapter and a category became official this year, 2020, back in April 1st of 2020. And it contains blocks U00 through U49. And this was a provisional assignment of new diagnosis or new diseases of uncertain etiology or emergency use. Also, we have the provisional assignment of new diseases of uncertain etiology for emergency use. And guys, you know about U07, correct? So we have been using this last chapter. So our U07.1 for COVID-19, we do have a use additional code to identify pneumonia or other manifestations, as well as an excludes 1 note for this code. And the excludes 1 says coronavirus infection unspecified, and it gives you code B34.2. Also coronavirus as the cause of the disease classified elsewhere. We have code B97.2, and then pneumonia due to SARS-associated coronavirus J1281. So this is our new chapter in ICD-10, chapter 22. So exciting things are happening already. We haven't even finished 2021. We have our new guidelines, we have our new codes, we have our new revisions for 2021, because remember, for ICD-10, these take effect when? October of this year, 2020. The 2021 starts for us. So guys, we have this, first part we covered chapters 1 through 11. Here I covered with you guys chapters 12 through 22. And I know it was just a quick and a brief overview of the changes, and some of the words I cannot pronounce them properly. You guys know English is not my first language, but hey, if you need me to, if you have any questions, if you need me to elaborate a little bit more on these, if you need me to maybe send you some resources, please, please, please. I told you at the very beginning, this is a partnership. So please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know how I can help you. But in the meantime, I will catch you on my next episode. Have a great day, guys.